Hello ladies and gentlemen, this is Blue Maxima and I'm here checking out Stranded: A Mars Adventure. Oh boy, this is going to be a fun one to talk about. So, the game is basically one of those endless runners, if you know what I'm talking about, where you move at the speed of sound and you have to press the X button to jump and you have to avoid all the obstacles and collect as many things as possible. I mean, it's not exactly like them because you can move left and right, but we'll have to go have a look at that anyway. Before we do though, we can go have a look at the shop. We can get upgrades to any particular things, and they don't really know English because it says here, life. Increase your life and resist more damage. I'm thinking that's like a health bar against monsters or something. Nope, it turns out you actually have lives in this game. Like, you know, die, you lose a life, die too many times, lose all your lives, you have to start the whole stage again. And trust me when I say this, you want to get as many live upgrades as possible because there are some parts of stages that take fucking ages to get through and they're just annoying as shit to deal with. You can also buy suits that do other particular things, and unfortunately I can't really afford any suits because they're bloody expensive, so yeah, but just so you know, they're here, and they do a couple of things. So let's head on into stage 4. I'm about stage 3, I'm about halfway through it on level 4. And there are 8 levels for every stage, as far as I can tell. And there are 3-star systems, as you might expect. It's fairly lax, actually. You can get through an entire level with a fairly decent time and a fairly decent amount of pickups, and you will probably get a 3-star. So, it's not particularly hard to pull off or anything like that, but, well, let me put it this way. You won't really want to. You won't really want to. God. Alright. Alright, so here we go. This is Stranded: A Mars Adventure. You use the D-pad to move left and right, and you press the X button to jump. You have a crouch button on the circle button, which if you are coming down too hard from a fall, it'll let you roll, and you'll be able to, keep moving really fast. Well, or at least at the speed you were moving at when you were falling. And you also have a jetpack for holding X. And when you hold X, you will use your O2 meter up in the top left there in order to get a bit of a boost. If you run out of O2, you die. If you fall down a pit, you die. If you fall into a lava pit, you die. If you fall into a quicksand pit, you die. As far as I can tell, there's not actually any, like, real monsters or anything to deal with. It's just literally just wandering around on what appears to be the surface of Mars, or in this case, the caves of Mars. But that's not really here or there, is it? The main difficulty of the gameplay comes from how slippery your character is. He takes a horrendously long time to turn around, and his falls are surprisingly uncontrollable. So the main thing that you have to deal with when you're playing this is controlling the character himself. And this can be a bit of a pain in the ass, because there are a couple of other things that really get in the way. For example, if you come up to any ledge whatsoever that's even remotely taller than you, you'll start to climb onto it. And by itself, this is okay, but there's also another mechanic they got going on, where if you slide against any wall and try and jump off it, you'll wall jump, and these two can really just get in the goddamn way. And I legitimately don't know why they can let you wall jump off things off little walls that are shorter than you, but that's the thing you can do, and it makes it really hard to get around smaller platforms. On longer jumps, if you use the jetpack and you try to slow down, or if you, like, you know, if you're not going very fast off the jump to begin with and you hit the jetpack, for some reason, if you use the jetpack and you're not going very fast, you reverse direction. This can really bite you in the ass later on, especially when you've got things like, especially when you've got, like, really complex jumping puzzles and mazes going on. It can really screw you. Just because you just go flying in the other direction and you might just fall straight into a lava pit. That's happened to me more than once. Combine this with the fact that your character is intensely slippery, and you have a recipe for a game that's just not that satisfying to play just because it's really fucking hard to control. The entirety of the challenge of the game comes from the slipperiness of the controls. That's the whole thing. Like, if you could control this guy like you would any other platformer, the game would be so easy to be basically an afterthought, more or less, right? There would be zero challenge to it whatsoever. There'd be no point. But no, instead, they feel the need to just make the controls slippery as hell because that's the whole point. And the game is a port from an iOS or Android device. So, that's just generally how it works, isn't it? Oh yeah, it's a crouching level, right. This is a maze level. They're famous for, well, being maze levels, more or less. It's just it's a pain, really, because you just have to spend so long wandering through these levels trying to figure out where the bloody hell you're supposed to go. A fair few passages are usually hidden behind, like, well, I mean, they're not so much hidden as much as you'll miss them if you do anything. If you don't look at them closely, you will miss them, but yeah. But yeah, as I was saying, since the game's a port of the iOS and Android game of the same name, it means that there's going to be a fair bit of just iOS bullcrap in here, and yep, slippery controls is one of them because I'm gonna die. Slippery controls is one of them because they just, it's a little bit disturbing. Just because they need to make the game work on a touchscreen, but they also need to make it challenging, so slippery controls is how they do it. There's a slide for you right there. I don't understand whether or not I'm supposed to be going left or right or up or down, because this little meter down the bottom here doesn't really tell you much. But I imagine I have to go over to the left there somewhere because of, the things, but at the same time, I'm not really sure, just because I don't have a overall map of the situation, but there you go. So, I really don't have that much else to say about it. It's just, it's relatively unsatisfying to play purely because of the idea that the slippery controls and some of the weird ways it decides to handle things are just a pain in the ass to deal with. And there's really nothing else to it. I mean, they've taken... Fuck me. They've taken the concept about as far as they can take it, like, realistically. Like, see, on that second jump, I just start accelerating out of nowhere, and it's really hard to slow down in this game. Again, wouldn't be a problem in any other platformer. In this game, see, I turn around, and there's no wall there, and I'm dead. No, screw that mission. I'll go back and I'll play a different one. No, that wasn't the kid screwing up. That was the game having a really weird effect going on. I'm not entirely sure. I'll play a different theme of a level just to mix things up a bit. They've taken the concept as far as it can go. Like, there's nothing else you can do with a simplistic platformer like this, and there's really nothing else to it. And yes, you can compete with a ghost for best time, but I don't really see the point in that. And, well, the point I was at when I started this video was exactly 1 hour in. So you've got, what, like 2-3 hours gameplay max? Well, I mean, sure, you can go back and try and 3-star all the levels, but frankly, I'd rather hit myself in the head with a curling iron a couple of times. I don't see the point. I'm nowhere near interested enough to even keep going. And the kit is actually starting to bugger up here. The game's performance, all things considered, is actually fine. So if you see any frame rate drops, it's just the kit being like, hey, fuck you. But yeah, it's not really that entertaining of a game. It's really simple. It doesn't do that much interesting. And it's a port of an iOS game, so it's got a bunch of stuff that an iOS game would have. And it's just boring. Like, I'm seriously bored right now. I spent the hour that I played the game looking at the clock saying, oh, come on, be an hour so I can stop now. Be an hour so I can stop now. Thank God I can do the video. Yeah, it's, not great. Lava pit. Woo! I didn't even get to the checkpoint, which is right fucking there. God damn it. Isn't Shantae supposed to be out in a couple of weeks? You'd be better off saving your money for Shantae more than anything else. I mean, that's meant to be a good game. Apparently. I've never played a Shantae game myself, and, well, I'll be able to now, so I can say at least I've played one Shantae game, but... yeah, it's just... this really isn't worth your time. It's just a dull iOS port with nothing really going for it. At least it's doing better than that Mop Operation Cleanup game, which was a similar sort of thing. And they still haven't put that game back up on the store, as far as I'm aware, because they removed it for being horrendously broken. God almighty. Secrets, as you might expect, obviously. But just nothing really worth talking about. I mean, this game is never going to be in any sort of history book or anything like that, so I'm really not impressed. And we're done. I can't be bothered doing anymore. So that was a quick look at Stranded: A Mars Adventure. It purposefully gimps its own mechanics. It takes its concept, which is a very lightweight concept, about as far as it can, and still manages to remain really boring just because that's what these sorts of games are like. It's boring as shit. And I really can't recommend it. Like, not for $5, not for free, not for cheap, not for anything like that. It's just a waste of time. So I'm gonna stop playing now. This has been Blue Maxima, and I'll see you all next time.